That feeling of not wanting to play, even with a library full of titles, is something that I and many gamers have faced. Sometimes you open that huge list of games and simply don't feel that click, that genuine desire to start or continue. It may seem contradictory having so many options, but at the same time a void or fatigue that prevents you from enjoying any of them. I think this has a lot to do with the pressure we put on ourselves, whether it's wanting to enjoy everything or thinking we always have to be playing something incredible. The hype around releases is one of the great villains in this scenario. When a game is announced, the expectation grows, the anxiety hits hard, and we end up creating a perfect mental image of that title. When it finally arrives, it often doesn't deliver exactly what we dreamed or imagined. This disappointment generates a frustration that can be harder than simply not liking the game. It's the breaking of that huge hope that kept us excited for weeks, sometimes months. In my case, after so many experiences like this, I ended up realizing that this mixture of hype and frustration tires us mentally. What was supposed to be fun becomes a source of stress, and this tension takes away the pleasure of the act of playing itself. This makes me feel kind of blocked without wanting to, because the fear of being disappointed again prevents me from taking the initial step. It's a cycle that isn't always easy to break, especially when we consume many trailers, reviews, and opinions before even touching the game. I think it's important to recognize that it's okay to go through these moments. Disconnecting a little from expectations, giving space to smaller or older games, or even taking a break may be the best remedy. The ideal game doesn't always have to be a blockbuster release or the most talked about title of the moment. Often, the desire returns when fun becomes the focus again. Without pressure, without hype, just the simple pleasure of playing. This freedom is essential to rediscover what really connects us to games at our own pace. One factor that amplifies this feeling of not wanting to play is turning the video game into an obligation. When we start to see the game as a task to be completed, the fun disappears quickly. This happens a lot when we spend money on a title and feel that we have to finish to make the investment worthwhile, or when we are fans of a franchise and demand loyalty to it, as if not finishing a game were a betrayal of our own taste. In addition, the feeling of I need to complete everything I start can be a mental trap that exhausts the energy of any player. This internal pressure to close all the games in the library transforms what should be enjoyable into a burden, almost an uncomfortable to-do list. The truth is that the video game should not be a job, and the quality of the time we spend playing is worth much more than the number of hours spent or achievements unlocked. I myself have been in several situations like this, trying to force myself to finish a game just because I bought it or because everyone was talking about it, even when I had already lost interest. This obligation ends up generating frustration and takes the focus away from what really matters: fun and self-engagement with the game. Realizing that it's okay to give up or simply stop a game is liberating, helps to relieve the pressure and open space to experience other experiences that may be more interesting at the moment. Accepting that we don't need to complete all the games we start is a fundamental step to recover the desire to play and the pleasure for the video game. Freeing myself from this obligation is, for me, like giving a breath to the mind and to the gamer heart. When we play out of our own will, without demands, the game returns to being real entertainment, a space to relax, explore, and have fun, at the time and in the way we really want. Another point that usually causes this lack of desire to play is the constant repetition of formulas within the games. When we end up getting stuck in one or two favorite genres and play games that follow very similar recipes, the feeling of novelty and challenge disappears. It's a subtle but continuous mental wear and tear that undermines the desire to turn on the console or PC. This is a phenomenon that many gamers experience without even realizing it until they notice that deep boredom in the face of yet another game that seems the same. Generic open world games, like some more recent examples from Ubisoft, fall into this cycle of repetition. Missions that seem recycled, collectibles scattered across huge maps, and almost mechanical tasks leave the experience worn out. Although these games have a lot of content, the lack of variety in the structure ends up generating that feeling of more of the same, and the initial hype is lost. For me, this happened at various times when I wanted to explore highly praised games, but that in the end were quite predictable. In addition to fatigue, this repetition also affects the motivation to start new games. We already know what to expect, and so the emotion of that first contact disappears. It's as if the video game loses its freshness, and instead of being a stimulating experience, it becomes a somewhat automatic, uninteresting habit without that spark that ignites curiosity and engagement. This is dangerous because it can lead to a decreasing desire to look for new games, perpetuating this cycle of discouragement. To break this pattern, the ideal is to seek challenges outside the comfort zone, explore different genres and styles, or even indie games that bring creative approaches. For me, changing the rhythm and experiencing something completely new is what renews the energy to play. This break from repetition saves the fun and keeps the video game as a constant source of pleasure and not just more of the same. Tiring thing. This diversity is essential to keep the gamer flame lit and avoid the mental wear and tear that repetition brings. One of the best solutions for this feeling of tiredness and lack of desire to play is precisely to vary the genres. When we always stick to the same style, the risk of exhaustion is enormous. But by opening up to experiment with different games, even those that at first don't seem like our commonplace, we rediscover the freshness and fun that video games can provide. It's a simple change, but it becomes a watershed to renew the pleasure of playing. In my experience, exploring genres that normally don't even cross my mind, such as strategy games, narrative adventures, or even different RPGs, brings a new perspective and opens doors to discover incredible titles that were off the radar. Platforms like Game Pass and PSN Plus appear precisely as great allies here, because they offer easy access to a huge variety of games without the commitment of immediate purchase. This takes the pressure off and helps to test new experiences without fear of spending money. The most interesting thing about this is that varying the genres doesn't mean abandoning what you like, but rather giving a break for the gamer mind. This break from routine stimulates curiosity, awakens that desire to explore, and often brings pleasant surprises that even end up expanding your gamer taste. And when we go back to our favorite genres, this happens with a renewed feeling, as if it were the first time. For those who, like me, have felt trapped in repetitive cycles and blockages, this is a valuable tip. Opening the mind to the new within the universe of games is the way to keep the flame lit. Betting on the diversity of genres is more than a practical solution. It's an invitation to rediscover yourself as a player, to value each moment in control, and to go back to having real fun. This freedom of choice makes all the difference to never feel that playing has become an obligation or monotony. The problem of accumulating games bought on sale that are never played is something that many gamers, including me, face with their heads down. Those irresistible promotions with incredible discounts make us want to buy a huge pile of games, thinking that when we have time we will dive into these adventures, but then time passes, the list grows, and the frustration too. In the end, it seems that you are more collecting a list of intentions than really enjoying the games. This is where an approach inspired by Epicureanism can help change the game literally. Epicureanism teaches us to seek moderate pleasures, those that really bring lasting satisfaction without excesses that only cause anxiety or regret. In the case of games, this may mean buying less, but choosing titles that you really feel like playing now that really excite you at the time of purchase. Thus, the experience becomes more enjoyable and meaningful, and not just an endless wait in a virtual queue. I myself have fallen into this cycle of wanting to grab everything as if I could play infinitely. But when I started trying the philosophy of focusing on the present, I noticed that I played better, enjoyed the stories more, the gameplay, and felt less of that guilt of having stopped games. It's as if I started to live the game in the moment instead of accumulating them for an indefinite future that never comes. In the end, it's healthier for the gamer spirit, less anxiety, more fun. In the end, It's about understanding that the quality of the time invested in games is worth more than the number of games accumulated. The ideal is to invest in the experience, in the moments of pure fun and relaxation, without the pressure of a gigantic backlog chasing you. With less, we enjoy more and have a more genuine relationship with what we play, which is the true essence of pleasure in the gamer world. Organizing the games, whether through spreadsheets or specialized cataloging sites, is a strategy that can completely transform the way we face our backlog. Often, the visual and mental mess of having an endless list in the launcher makes it even difficult to choose the next game to dedicate yourself to. When you put everything on paper or in a digital tool, the feeling of control appears, which increases the motivation to really play. I like to think that organizing is kind of an act of self-care as a gamer. Creating a spreadsheet or using a cataloging site is not just listing games, it's detailing what you've already played, what you want to play, and even what you liked or didn't like about that title. This helps to clear the mind and leave the focus on the present, because you practically identify what is more attractive or accessible at that moment. In addition, having this visual control helps to avoid wasting time jumping between games without finishing any, that typical next game syndrome. With the organization, you choose based on real criteria, even on your mood or amount of time available, and this generates a cycle of greater satisfaction with each completed match. For me, this clarity is an extra fuel to maintain the spirit and avoid that frustration that hits when it seems that you will never be able to finish anything. In the end, using tools to catalog and organize is a very practical way to align expectations with the reality of time and desire that each one has to play. This clarity reinforces the idea of Epicureanism applied to gaming. Enjoy what you have and really enjoy the games of the moment, giving more value to the present than to the infinite accumulation of titles accumulated for an uncertain future. The excessive search for trophies, especially the coveted platinums, can end up hindering the gaming experience for many people. When you start a game already focused on completing it 100%, the fun can take a back seat because the goal becomes something mechanical and stressful. I see this as a common trap, where the pleasure of the game is replaced by the pressure to fulfill specific objectives that, in practice, take the focus away from what really matters: having fun. In my personal experience, the advice to treat platinum as a consequence of having loved the game makes total sense. It's these genuine emotions, getting hooked on the story, exploring that world, enjoying each challenge that naturally lead you to want to complete everything. The platinum, thus, becomes a kind of extra prize, a way of saying, I really enjoyed this, instead of being an end in itself. This completely changes the approach and makes the journey lighter and more enjoyable. Another point that has helped me a lot was not looking at the list of trophies before finishing the game. Sometimes, just knowing that there is a boring mission or a complicated challenge waiting for you, anxiety hits and spoils the experience. Playing without this concern lets the surprise and discovery roll loose, allowing you to appreciate the game the way it was intended without the pressure of numbers or exact goals. In the end, balance is fundamental. Trophies and platinums can be an interesting element for those who like challenges, but they should never be the main reason to play. Respecting the time and rhythm of each one, enjoying what the game offers, is a much healthier way to enjoy the experience. After that, if the desire to seek platinum arises, let it be just the bonus of a true relationship with the game.
You gotta earn them.
Yeah, I'm 101, number one. We the best, it's another one.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, MP, and I'm here bright and early, 6 a.m., ready to get my first workout in. Today, we're gonna play Kobe Starks, the highest ranked player in Vermont. But you know me, I'm not afraid of a challenge.
Hey,
Hey.
how'd it go?
The scout couldn't make it.
I need to go to LA.